In the past few days, three disturbing incidents of ragging have been reported in a school and two colleges in Kerala and Karnataka. One such incident in Kerala's Kottayam led to arrest of five students. In an unrelated incident, a Nepalese student at the Kalinga Institute of Industrial Technology in Odisha ended her life after allegedly being harassed by a fellow student. These incidents have created an uproar at campuses and also led to a question mark on how safe the campuses are for our students right now. Hello and welcome to The Print. This is Fareeha Iftikhar, and today we will be discussing the current anti ragging policies in India and how effectively they are being implemented. I am joined by Rajendra Kachroo, founder of Aman Foundation, whose 19-year-old son was tragically passed away in 2009, allegedly due to ragging. Also with us is Professor Royana Singh, head of anti-ragging squad in Banaras Hindu University, and my colleague Shubhangi Mishra, who is reporting for the print on ground in Odisha. Hello and welcome to the print, everyone. Let us start the discussion without wasting any time. And my first question is with Mr. Kachru. Sir, your plea has led to what Supreme Court had announced in 2009, the guidelines to curb the menace of ragging. What do you think, like how it has been implemented, and do you think is it up to the mark of what it was plead in the Apex Code at that time?
Thank you very much for asking me to join you for this panel. In 2009, Supreme Court passed a landmark judgment, and it was not because of my son. In 2007, they had continued this process. And 2007, my son's passing away gave it a little momentum and acceleration to this process, and it was taken up seriously. But what was most important in that Supreme Court judgment of 2009 was there was a plan for eradication of ragging. I designed that plan and I went to the court and asked them, please implement this plan. You can examine it, get it examined and see if it is not possible to do this kind of such a huge task without a plan and without technology. So we are talking about there are 20 million students in this country. That is more than the population of many countries in the world. So there are 50,000 colleges around in this country. And these 50,000 colleges, by our tradition or by historically, we do not allow police to enter the colleges for no reason. So when a situation arises like this, so you have 50,000 colleges with 20 million students, that means it is more than any country in Europe. And it has no law and order, no situation. Nobody's, if in the BHU outside the gate, Lanka gate, you go and you slap a person or you tease a girl or you do anything, a police will put you in behind the bars. The IPC applies, the criminal laws apply. As soon as the two people enter the gate, nothing applies. This is irrational and illogical. We argued this case very strongly in the Supreme Court and requested the government either to put in a police chowki in every college or take the responsibility. And that time the Solicitor General came and he said we said that let the college administrations take the responsibility, because this is not small. The ragging has taken a shape as of now is not what it was 30 years ago or 40 years ago when I was in college, or 50 years ago. It used to be few months old tradition and it was finished. Now we have ragging year round, and it has nothing to do with senior and junior alone. It is pure violence in the campus between two people who live in that campus, and there are no controls. So the 2009, coming back to your answer, 2009 judgment had a plan, and it's a brilliant plan. It has got 4 components. It's not just one call center. Call center is a part of that plan, but it has got 4 components. One of the components is data analysis. If you must have heard, there are affidavits now being, every college every student has to file an affidavit. So this affidavit was not really, the intention of this affidavit was to collect the database. because it has to be done on a website, on an uh, on on an internet. So while you are filing an affidavit, we are collecting the data of all these students and their parents and their phone numbers, and so that we can launch a campaign directly to their parents. For 9 years, we sent 1 lakh emails to parents every day, asking them to not to ignore this problem. Do not think that once you put the child, give him an admission, and that's it, it's over. The job is done. Job has just started. So campaigning, compliance, there's regulations that have been created as a result of the 2009 judgment. They need to be complied with. So somebody has to keep an eye on, watch it. Are they being complied? When students are in trouble, they should have an independent, and they must have a facility to complain anonymously without being harassed, without being told, आप बताइए कि किसने किया, हमें उसकी शिनाख्त करना नहीं है, ये करना होगा. There's no need for that. We are not police, neither are we investigating officers. Many times college authorities think that they are police or investigating officers. They're not. They do not understand that this is just a bit of information given to you to get your college in order. When the crime happens, it will still go to the police, and there are professional investigating officers. College principals and lecturers are not. I was one of them myself. We don't know nothing about investigation. So it has always been misunderstood for a great time here. That's what's happening. But what happened to that um, plan was that it was implemented effectively between 2017 to 2020, roughly at the COVID time, when
Okay.
COVID came in. Administrations changed in UGC, administration changed in the ministry. New people came. They did not take the trouble of trying to understand the seriousness of this matter. They did not try to understand what the fine details of this plan. They just thought कि it is like some other thing that they are doing. एक file आ गया, दस्तखत कर दिया, चला दिया. And that is what has led to a U-turn now on the ragging. We reduced ragging between allegedly 40% in 2009 to less than 5% in 2020, when we did a survey of nearly 50 lakh students in 5,000 colleges. And we saw a tremendous year after year decrease. With this is substantial data, not just 5, 10 colleges, 5,000 colleges, 50 lakh students. You see, but now you see again increase. You see every second day we hear about some college or the other, somewhere or the other trouble, and there are many children who are dropping out of colleges because of ragging, and they do not hit the newspapers. Nobody gets to know them. I think this is more than enough for me in the beginning. You can continue, and then we'll ask me specific
Yeah,
questions.
my question is for Miss Professor Singh. So, ma'am, you head the anti-ragging squad in Banaras Hindu University. So I would like you to tell our viewers about the present UGC guidelines, the anti-ragging guidelines, and how are campuses implementing it, and how are they making sure that they reach out to every student in need.
Uh, See, as Sir said, first of all, thank you for this platform and this current fire, which is raising down every nook and corner, especially medical colleges. Whereas you rightly said, many reports have come up very lately in the last month. What I will like to recall what Sir said, of course, many drastic measures have taken place over these years. And since I belong to medical fraternity, I can see it as a living example of it. It has come down, but it has not been eradicated in spite of extreme measures, as you said, laid down by UGC guidelines, to the extent that there is anti-ragging committee, anti-ragging squad. We do counseling. The squad goes to different hostels, meet the students. The parents are sought. We give lectures to seniors. Uh, what is happening? What Sir rightly said. At times, it begins with two. people misunderstanding and violence amongst them, and it creates a mob like thing which becomes seniors juniors, and then they put a rap around it saying it was ragging a senior most of the time. I'm saying, and I would, as Sir said rightly, I think it is the administration, the police, who should interfere immediately. Ragging, which we thought which is bullying or thing, can be managed by teachers, but this kind of violence which they do, like litting up their hairs, beating them, it is violence. It doesn't come under a purview of a teacher to hold it and uh, punish them. Of course, since those guidelines have come, it is online. Everyone has to put on the app. Everyone has to give a written affidavit, and this affidavit has also become online. The numbers of all the local administrators are displayed. The vice chancellor himself chairs these meetings as the head of the university, and we time and time repeat again amongst all teacher, admin, wardens of the hostels, the dean of students, that we have zero tolerance for it, and we give very strict punishments also. For example, even to rustication, be it PhD, it's not only amongst undergraduates who, let's say, they are not repeated offenders and we do not give them punishment. We retrieve their data also, and we go to the extent of having a very large inquiry committee, which is recorded, and then what we do, we seek for their behaviors also in the class. So sometimes it so happens that we realize that they are, you cannot call them innocent. See, not knowing a law doesn't mean that you, I didn't know that I'll be punished for slapping someone, doesn't mean I'll go and slap everyone whom I meet. So there, as I said, we have to build in something. Uh, we are very strict on one hand.
Hmm.
Something has to be there. How come they are not understanding? Why is it so still rampant amongst us, especially medical school? Why it could be eradicated from women's college? For example, my friend is in MMB. She's a principal there, and I've been talking to those girls. We have been sending out even people in disguise so that they can sit in messes and try to find out if it is really happening, and they're not reporting. But in women college, which is within liver, there's no ragging. They are friendly. They welcome those young ones. They help them to settle in. See, people in BHU, for example, if I take, they come pan India. So people who
Yeah.
are coming from South, who are coming from West Bengal, they have language problem. So we help them settle down. I mean, the seniors, and how to, where to have food, where, which mess to join in, which hostel to take in, or if they have to settle outside. But when it comes to these professional colleges, especially if I talk to medical college, if this thing happens, and then suddenly you find all boys having short hair, all boys bending down 90 degrees, saluting, and you ask them, and then nobody is ready to come up when they give up out on it. UGC has done a wonderful job by giving that number helpline, which they say at
Yeah.
least people go anonymous, and that is one very good thing. He is not tortured every time, because even though anonymous, many at times it does happen in the redressal system, the name comes up, or they have a lookout, or they do the recce, and they realize, okay, this boy junior is coming too many times, let's catch him. So at least that is not happening. It is anonymous to me also, to other administrator also. So we know only the seniors, and then we punish them to the extent of rustication, not only suspension, academic suspension, hostel suspension, but in rustication and monetary. But yet every year it happens, we give a very strict, but then again it happens. So I don't know. I asked them only, how did you feel at that time? Why won't you become the torch bearers and put a stop to it? I don't know what
Ma'am,
to. I mean,
you
I
just
seek no help in that matter.
Yeah, but ma'am, you just mentioned that despite these strict guidelines, the campuses managed to curb it, but it has not been eradicated. And you have also
Right.
given a gender angle to it right now, that like more
Exactly.
cases of ragging has been reported among boys, right? So, ma'am,
Right.
like what are the challenges? What is making it impossible for the campuses to completely eradicate it?
First of all, this autocracy type of thing. I mean, that we are superior, whatever we say, right or wrong, has to be followed. This has to break. We are all fellow beings, we all have the right to at least give us suggestions. We have cleared good exams to crack to reach this point. If I feel like that I need my comfortable shoes to walk in, why should I be made to wear those formal black shoes which will make me have blisters? I do not understand that part. And then when you ask them, they say it's discipline. We are not imposing. The administration doesn't impose, they say it's the seniors who are imposing on them. And then they say when we are in a point of we are being cornered, for example, in public, the administration doesn't help. It is the seniors who help. For example, if there is a ruckus in the hospital, it is first the seniors or the fellow colleagues who comes to help them. So they have to listen. That is what is being fed in their mind. That is where we need a lot of induction programs to be told to them. See, we are there for you. We need that mentorship programs which had been taken in a lot of IITs. That has to be inculcated in by root. Everyone has to take that mentorship program so that children come up with. And these days with mobiles, with so many apps, you can contact anyone anywhere, but still they subject themselves to that part of bullying. And where to put a stop? I know many children who initially are very friendly. They come up, they tell us, when you ask the names, no ma'am, हमें आइसोलेट कर दिया जाएगा, नहीं मैम, हम नहीं बता सकते, things like that. Their parents, even they are doctors, they are like they tell their sons and daughters कि ऐसा होगा तुमको ये सहना है. We as parents should tell no, सहना नहीं है. The UGC guidelines are there. You come to us, we will punish
Yeah,
them.
absolutely. Yeah.
The administration is ready to punish. The culprits will spare no one whatsoever. This need to be told and they need to be brainwashed time and time again. And of course, I'm thankful to media with when they see okay they are being punished, they think they will not be punished. The administration is with us. So when this like Kerala post came, Odisha post came, at least we can see the repercussion on other medical colleges that it is stopped. Suddenly you see boys freely, they are smiling, they're answering questions. So that
Yeah.
is there. And the second step occurs, I should say, not in undergraduates, as sir has been. It comes when they are little older. For example, in postgraduates, they're already 26 and 27, and they come to that part when they have joined as junior resident. I've realized a lot of bullying occurs at that point of time. And the second type of bullying which has come up is on WhatsApp and Telegram. So what they do, they make video calls. They force people to go and make video calls. For example, I am there. They will force me to go to my colleagues and tell them to do a lot of like dancing and I don't know, become murga or something like that. And when I ask them, did you record it, or they put themselves with other numbers. They do so many things. Even my number, my name is there on some numbers. So children
Okay.
are like baffled. Who is calling me? Is it actually Royana Singh or is it somebody else? So they, with this digitalization, a digital form of ragging is coming up, which is of course they hide out. They say we cannot sleep at night. So we what we do, we go tell the squad to go at night, catch them. We have put a lot of cameras in the hostel so that we have made separate hostel for the juniors so that the juniors don't interact. We have special guards, but in spite of that, we find that okay, through telegrams they mimic some numbers and then they call them. This is what is happening.
It's
So
a
we
very pressing issue that you have just raised, digital form of ragging. Mr. Kachru, you had mentioned just a few minutes before that things change after pandemic. So what according to you, and why do you think that things change after pandemic, and what all played a major role in that? And sir, we would like to know your opinion also on how to like what kind of reforms are required in the present policy. And especially since ma'am has mentioned this new form of ragging, which is digital, and it's very difficult to monitor that. So, what kind of reforms are required now?
I want to tell you, when I said pandemic, it just happens to be pandemic. It's not, did not change because of pandemic. It just happened that that time the administration changed. The joint secretary in UGC changed. The joint secretary in Ministry of Education changed. When new people come, they come with their own thoughts. For instance, what is the definition of ragging? There are 50,000 college principals in this country, and 49,999 of them will tell you it is an interaction between senior and junior. It's all wrong. The 2009, the regulation, the judgment says that any violence, this girl who was who killed herself in Odisha, in the campus, would you call it a ragging? Yes, it is by definition of by law, it is ragging. It is nothing to do with senior and junior. It is to do with her friend. But the friend, if that person happened to be also a student of the same college, and if they are in the same campus or in an accommodation outside campus, but where there are students of the campus, still it is ragging. So definition of ragging was changed substantially in 2009. So any kind of violence in the campus between any two people, except the teachers, any two students, is violence, is ragging. So it's nothing to do with seniors and juniors anymore. Senior junior violence was 30 years ago, that's over. We are here talking about serious crime. Changing the mindset of crime people is not easy. If making laws and regulations would have changed the mindset of criminals who do robbery and murders and rapes, then we would have been living in this fantastic world by now, because these laws exist for the last 400 years.
Correct.
So that is not the solution. The solution is to contain it, manage it, and reduce its impact. Why we say that we go to Europe, or we go to Saudi Arabia, we have a controlled crime rates, but here they don't, because they have managed it. It's not that there's no those countries are short of there's no criminals there. There are as many as here, but they manage it. That's what we are missing here. I'm also against repeating that we do not understand the magnitude of the problem. 20 million students, 3-4 European countries put together. That is the number of students we're talking about, and 50,000 different places, little islands. We have 50,000 islands within India that are uncontrolled. No law. No law applies. This is a very strange situation. So what has happened in 2009? What did we achieve between 2012 and 2019? Is that there are two unique features. There are three unique features of the plan that I designed. Absolutely three. One is to have access to all these 20 million students, personal access. So they file in their affidavits. I know their mails, emails, phone numbers. I can communicate with them direct one-to-one with their parents and so on, and keep communication going. That's one thing. Second is that I need a third person to whom I can talk.
Yeah.
Not my college. They say, why don't you go and put a complaint letter in the college, or tell your teacher, or tell your principal? This is, I don't understand how it can ever happen. It's the same in the school. They go and tell the principal that the next kid is bullying me. Never happens. Just never happened anywhere in the world. Why would it happen here? So you have to have third person, anonymous, an entity with whom you will trust. That's why we created 1-800 number, 181. I operated it for a decade and created trust among people, that once you say something, it will not go to waste. How did we create the trust on them? I gave them access to their own case file. As soon as they call, I give them access to their own case file on the internet. They are watching and they're listening. They're listening all the conversations that are happening about their case file. They can intervene. They say, look, madam is telling me that this principal is not telling you the truth, or this guy is not telling you the truth. So that has been done away with 2019 because it required particular technology. And the third most important component of this program, which was path-breaking, is independent non-governmental monitoring. So unless you have a person, an agency that is not part of the government, that is not part of the UGC or ministry or hired by UGC and ministry at a particular fees or paid, and they salute to the joint secretary. How can you go and tell the Vice Chancellor of Banaras Hindu University? I had many arguments with Banaras Hindu University registrars, and they still, to the extent that even I'm out of this, they still send me email every day about every complaint they have. We had to produce voice recordings in the Vice Chancellor to Registrar of Banaras Hindu University 2012, 13, 14. So you have to have that capacity, ability. Only a non-governmental. You cannot expect a joint secretary of the ministry and the vice chancellor of a university having this kind of a conversation. It's not possible. But this conversation is necessary. So you need an independent monitoring agency. But this independent monitoring agencies become embarrassment sometimes. They tell the UGC, they tell the government, vice chancellor, why don't you do your job? And they don't like it, so they did away with it. So they did away with three things. There was nothing left. Once you do away with independent monitoring, you've done away with the confidence building measure, which is to give the student his access to his case file instantly, including every communication that happens between the UGC and the call center and the colleges and the ragging squads and the people, all conversations, the kid can hear it. And then the third thing is, if you break the communication between parents, students, and the teachers,
Yeah.
and there's nothing left really. There's a little bit more, but there's nothing left. That's what happened in 2019. It's collapsed. And we are expecting that for years, because we're telling children now, this boy who has been, the Odisha girl who has kind of toxic relationship with this girl, is not a normal kid he has a criminal tendency. So that kid needs to be contained and managed rather than advised and told, beta aisa nahi karte. वो नहीं मानता.
Yeah.
So this is the kind of thing we need. The government of India, particularly University Grants Commission, has in the last 5-6 years completely ignored ragging prevention program. Absolutely finished it. They just thought it was a waste of time. Waste of time for them. There is zero intervention as of now. They may tell you on the television and they may tell you on the newspapers, no, dekho ji, ye sab ho raha hai, call center hai, ye hai, wo hai. Nothing on the ground. We see all the parameters that existed before. In the next 5 years, we are back to 2009 condition unless they put a stop to it now. And we don't need any new policy interventions. Nothing. No new laws are required. I moved a private member bill in the parliament through a member of that time. The government of India, the parliament analyzed the regulation and they said, this law cannot be any more comprehensive than the regulations that we already have. The minister came on the floor, it's in the parliament records, he said, there is no need. The law, if we frame a law, it cannot be more comprehensive than the Supreme Court regulation, and that is the law, and there is no need for, and I assure you, there is no need for anything else except to implement the plan that has been put that was directed to people, what we call National Ragging Prevention Program. Put it as it is, the way it was designed, implement it, you have slowly reduction in, you will end up in a contained situation. I'm not saying complete eradication. Crime cannot be eradicated that easily unless we suddenly become some Ram Raj or something like that. That's not the case. That's not most unlikely. So we need, government of India needs to take this seriously, and they do
Yeah.
not see that it's not government. I always say it's not government, it's the bureaucrats. Government बदनाम हो जाता है होता तो bureaucrats का mind. You have the same new set of bureaucrats, suddenly the government will become sensitive. You have one more set of bureaucrats, suddenly the government will become insensitive. So it's nothing to do with the government. I can assure you, it is all politicians in this country, whether whichever party they belong to, I have interacted with all of them. They all want
So
to
you mean, sir, it's the effective implementation which is required right now.
definitely, there's nothing more than that required.
So I'll come to Shubhangi. Shubhangi, what is happening at the Institute of Kalinga, Institute of Technology right now, and what are the demands of students? Please tell our viewers what is the situation there right now?
So the protests have completely died down, Fareeha. The students actually protested right after the suicide was reported, led by Nepalese students. There were protests all over the institute. That was also the day of the annual festival. So actually, Badshah was performing at the institute, and on the backdrop of it, all of this was going on. And there were instant protests because students wanted probe and they did not have faith in the institution that a proper independent probe will be carried out. The day after that, this happened on the night of 16th of February. The day after that, there was a signed notice issued by the authorities asking Nepalese students to leave immediately. This is an action that the institute has apologized for, but and they say that in hindsight it wasn't the best decision to take. But what had happened is that um, the authorities barged into their rooms at 6:37 in the morning, woke them up, did not give them proper time to pack, to carry their belongings, to ensure that they have, small little things like battery in their mobile phones, cash, etc. They just asked them to evict. They used force to do that, and that's what those are the allegations, of course. And then they were stuffed into police buses, apparently. That's what the students here told me. And then they were dropped to various different stations, like the Calicut station, I'm saying Calicut, the Cuttack railway station, the Bhubaneswar railway station, and some bus stops. And from there, they had to figure out how to go home. A lot of them currently are in Bihar, some of them are in Kolkata, some of them are in other parts of West Bengal, like Siliguri. And while they were gone, students over here continued their protest, but there was some vandalism towards the end of the protest on the 18th of February. So after that, there was a further crackdown by the authorities on the students. Their parents were called. They were discouraged from, participating in anything that would cause violence. Odisha police was deployed here. There was military police also here. So now students have stopped protesting. The major demands right now are that they want an independent probe. A 3-member committee has already been formed by the Odisha government to look into the allegations. There's one demand where they want So there's one demand of judicial probe. There's a demand for the formation of a student body. Interestingly, in Odisha since 2017, there have been absolutely no student body elections. KIIT is a private institute. So in private institutions, there's generally student bodies are not that strong. But in public institutions also in Odisha since 2017, there have been no elections. So they want the formation of a student body. And they want all students to come back. College has reached out to students personally. The Vice Chancellor has gone on a video call with parents of Nepalese students requesting them to send them back. But students at this point are very scared. So can we call this an instance of bullying by the institution? I don't know. That is something that audience and viewers, after reading the story, have to figure out.
Okay, thank you so much for briefing about the situation, Shubhangi. And we will wrap up the discussion. We'll just ask Royana ma'am, since we all have talked about like what are the present difficulties and the challenges in implementing all these guidelines which are in place. And sir has also mentioned that we don't need reforms, only the effective implementation is required right now. Since you are like at the forefront and you are heading one of those squads right now, so immediate intervention in terms of implementation, what do you think should be done right now?
I do agree with sir. What sir said. The laws are there, the guidelines are there. Each of us has zero tolerance for it. We need immediate and very strict action, so it be contained, so that in the next few years it comes to almost eradication. I hope so. That is what a very strict action, so that when they think of it, they know that this will be done against them. If they do, bullying of any kind will not be tolerated. It is not only senior, junior, as I said very rightly, it comes within colleagues and sometimes junior also bully. So it
Yeah.
is what it really is a friction between two, where they impose physical, mental, whatever kind of abuse should be, and any kind of what I would suggest, all the authorities down from admin warden, a single, see, it doesn't start that a child goes directly to UGC portal. His trust, his rapport is with teachers. Sometimes teachers also ignore that smallest call which they have made or what they see. So one thing very good, what started, I should thank those teachers. They saw in one of the playing grounds in BHU. You see that there's a lot of playing grounds. They saw some boys were called to play football, but later they were made to sit on the ground to become mulgas. So immediately those teachers from who were doing evening walk, they called the authorities so that we could go and catch them. That is what the sense that other is being abused should be immediately called on. And your sixth sense, if you feel that someone is in distress, especially students, it
Yeah.
should be immediately told, and the parents should be immediately told that, see, this is kind of is happening with your child. You should also talk and help us to catch the culprit and give very strict punishment. No tolerance, no, nothing should be done. And sir very rightly said, it should be someone very independent who is who cannot be pressurized. That is what he rightly said. Someone who is independent, someone who can think, okay, this punishment, like a judge, this form of a quantum of wrong thing you have done, this quantum of punishment should be given to you.
So
Full
we
stop.
hope that strict action should be taken in these recent cases as well.
Very,
Thank you
very
so much,
strict.
sir. Thanks a lot, ma'am, for joining us. Thank you, Shubhangi.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Shubhangi. Thank you, Fareeha. We had a nice time. Thank you.
Thank you.